it's big for us. I think, in talking to our board and talking to the council, I said it's a victory for us, especially right now. It seems like we haven't had one for a long time going through all this, right? And not only for our hockey program, but as a whole, it seems like we talk about more negatives than we do positives. And this was definitely a step in the right direction, and a big positive for us moving forward to next year.
Well, that was Lloydminster Bobcats head coach and general manager Nigel Dubé just after when City Council announced that the Lloydminster Bobcats would be getting help with the daytime ice. Joining me today to break this all down is our City Council reporter, Jace Mackey. Jace, thanks for taking this time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, Jace, I guess first things first, can you just break down this whole process for us, from, I guess, the time when it started up until this past Monday?
Yeah, so the Bobcats definitely, like many other organizations and businesses during this pandemic, have been placed in a difficult position. Pro sports is a difficult one where you can't have people in the stands, or if you could, it was kind of limited and stuff. And then when the AJHL got approval from the Alberta government to restart their season, here in Lloydminster, they needed the SHA to come in and approve it. And that never ended up happening. So they kind of had to shelve their season. So that put them in a difficult financial position. So earlier this year, head coach and general manager of the Bobcats, Nigel Dubé, came before City Council during a GPC meeting, kind of outlaying, all their financial difficulties they're in and making his pitch for financial support. So he was pointing out all the community work that they do for the city. And then after that, city administration kind of was going through some options. And then this week they presented some support options to City Council.
They have corporate sponsorship and advertising dollars that they work with from businesses and things like that. But at the same token, their revenue opportunities are very limited, which puts a lot of pressure on their expense side. And certainly in discussions with the Bobcats, administration went back and forth with the Bobcat organization to find something that was amiable for both parties, that administration felt council could live with, that would help the Bobcats.
All right, Jace. So I guess, the thing that's on a lot of taxpayers' minds and, residents of Lloydminster is money. So let's go through the numbers here. Can you just take us through that, Jace?
Yeah, so the support option that council approved is they're waiving daytime ice fees for the Bobcats next season. So that's going to be their practice time. So city administration is expecting that this is going to cost the city between $8,000 and $12,000, and that depends on if the Bobcats make the playoffs. So if they're going to need to use that ice for practice further on down the year, they're going to be closer to that $12,000 mark, but that really depends on how things go next season. Now the Bobcats are still going to be playing for game time ISO, so it's not like they're going to be getting out of this scot-free.
Yeah, and Jace, a big point in this from City Council is that they are paying for that game time ice, which is sort of those prime time ice slots there, right around that 7 o'clock on a Friday or on a Saturday night. Anybody would love to have those ice slots, but their practice times right around that 1 p.m. It's considered dead ice where, the city already has the ice there. They're already paying employees to be there. It is a little more economically feasible for the city to be making these kind of adjustments. And Jace, kind of just adding on one more point there, helping out the Bobcats financially could also be helping them out with success on the ice. In the past, we've seen different teams, the Brooks Bandits, Spruce Grove Saints, two of the powerhouses of the AJHL, and, even going a little further back, the Fort McMurray Oil Barons. All these teams, they're the wealthiest teams in the AJHL, and they do have success on the ice. So, it's not like the Bobcats are going to be receiving a ton of money or receiving money really at all, but just helping them with this little bit of leeway, we might be able to see that translate to success on the ice.
Yeah, exactly. And that was something that in the city council meeting that was discussed, is that this is something that the city of Lloydminster can do to help the Bobcats, but it's not, giving away a bunch of money, and they're not helping a rich owner at this time. A lot of people might think, pro sports, why are we helping them with tax money? But this is a community team that's in a difficult spot, and this was a way for city council to just help them out of that difficult spot just a little bit.
The Bobcats are owned. It was discussed by an ownership group, but I can tell you anyone in the Alberta Junior Hockey League will tell you that it's not a very profitable business. If profit isn't a word they use, they talk about community support. And it's not owned, it's not a community-owned team. It's owned by businesses and individuals that put money forward, which I appreciate. But at the same token, it plays a huge role in our community. The Bobcats organization has realized how important giving back to the community is, and they have for a very long time. Those young men set a good example for a lot of people in our community, and young hockey players, male and female, aspire to follow those Bobcats up to, as they move forward in their hockey careers. So I think it sets a really good example, and what we tried to do was find something that would be fair to the community and fair to help the Bobcats. Yeah, by all means, I'm sure they're going to be out fundraising, because we haven't addressed a big piece of their expense line, but we were able to do something that we feel was reasonable.
And Jace, obviously the Lloydminster Bobcats Junior A team is the main tenant of the Civic Centre. And the Civic Centre, you know, that's something that's been brought up for the last couple of years and will continue to be brought up for, you know, the next handful going forward. But I guess just what would, you know, the future of the Civic Centre look like if the Bobcats, I guess, lost some money and lost some productivity, really?
Yeah, and that was another thing that was important for council when it comes to, you know, giving support to this team. Is it's important for this community to have a local junior A team here in town. It's something that's, you know, especially in Alberta, Saskatchewan, those local teams are really driving for community spirit and stuff like that. But when it comes to the Civic Centre, about 2 years ago, there was a engineering report done on the lifespan of the Civic Centre. And at the time, they said that the Civic Centre has about 2 to 7 years left in its left for it to operate right now. So that was 2 years ago. There's going to be another engineering report coming before council. We're at that 5-year mark. So if the Bobcats end up leaving Lloydminster, they're really, what would be the point of building a new rink when there's no tenant for it? So that was something too that they want to ensure that they have a tenant in that arena, not only for community spirit, but also, you know, to make revenue for the city a little bit.
And Jace, you know, obviously it does benefit the Junior A Bobcats, but as well, you know, obviously minor hockey uses it, figure skating, rec hockey, you know, a number of different things. But outside of hockey, we've seen it being used for different things. You know, back when the Border City hosted the Oilers and the Flames alumni, back when, you know, we hosted the Junior A National Championship here in Lloydminster. You know, there's a lot of different possibilities that a structure like the Civic Centre could be used for.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, Evan. That was something that also came up in council is, you know, those tournaments down the road that the city would like to host. If there's no team here, there may not be a new arena. And if there's no arena, Lloydminster is going to be overlooked when it comes to tournaments like that.
Well, Jace, thank you very much for taking this time and joining me. Should be interesting, you know, moving forward, not just with the Bobcats, watching them in the future, but as well as we mentioned with the Civic Centre here.